Good
model.
evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women all across the fruited plains. This is Gary Keith coming to you live from beautiful, hot and muggy and sweaty Raleigh, North Carolina on July 24th, 2023. Is to what we call the psychology of the sale. The doctor's in the house. The doctor of insurance is here to kind of share with you some ways to ease your burdens and your pains to bring about some healing through the sales process so that you can help Miss Betty be able to provide for her family so she's not a burden upon her family, so that you can make a difference and an impact upon the community which you live. You know, when I was growing up as a kid, I think most people like, what do I want to do when I grow up? What do I want to be when I grow up? And if you like my grandsons, they always say, I want to be a fire truck, right? They don't want to be the fireman, they want to be the fire truck. And so it's always so funny when they say that. But we have these aspirations and dreams and goals that we want to make a difference in people's lives, and whatever that may be. And sometimes people are scientists, and sometimes people are doctors, and sometimes people want to be teachers, and whatever they want to be in life is fantastic. But then somewhere along the line, reality hits and the rubber meets the road, and life isn't as easy as what we thought it was going to be. And be that as it may, we all got different roads. We're all striving and trying to become the best that we can be, whatever it is. But I can guarantee you this, somewhere along the line, you have thought about in your life, I just want to be able to make a difference in the world in which I live. I want to make an impact, upon people and upon relationships, not just my spouse and kids, which is great, or my grandkids, but I also want to make a difference. I want to make a difference, with my income. Now, listen, everybody on this call right now seems to be frozen except for me. So I want to make sure, give me a thumbs up out there if you can hear me. And if you can see me here tonight, I need some sort of communication or feedback that I'm coming through loud and clear. Bonita says I am, and she's got a thumb that moves up and down. So does Maurice. Those are kind of cool thumbs. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Thank y'all so much. So with that in mind, you never probably thought that you'd be somewhere like in the insurance world, selling or peddling or whatever, how you look at it, insurance up and down the street or in people's lives. And for me, I had to go through a mental shift when I first started selling life insurance. I looked at myself as a bother, like I was bothering people, like I was, interrupting people's lives if I was going to make that phone call or knock on that door, that I was, like a nuisance to them. Instead of flipping that around and saying, man, I'm a great asset to these people. I'm making a difference. I'm providing something for them and their family when that breadwinner is gone that nobody else is going to do. And so you'll often notice and hear me say during my presentation that while everybody else is bringing your daughter Mary bills, Miss Betty, I'll be one of the few that'll be bringing her a check. And I say that kind of softly and slowly, with intent, with purpose, because it's so true. In sales, you learn not to sell features and benefits. You learn to sell what emotionally you're doing for your client. Think about that in that light for just a second. This is one of the ways you'll learn to close more sales. And this is one of the psychologies of the sale, is learning not to spend so much time on features and benefits. Like, okay, so you sent this card in, Miss Betty, and you want to make sure that you're not a burden upon your kids. All right. I mean, that's okay. That's a little bit more transactional, if you will. It's not digging deep. You heard someone talk about it today. You've heard me talk about it many times. If you know my training, it's learning to peel the onion. Get a little bit deeper than that. Find a way to touch not only the mind, but the heart and the soul. Right? And the way you do that is learning to get emotionally involved in what you're doing. And so that's what we teach here in the psychology of the sale, in this whole process, is learning how to say what your product's going to do for them. While everybody else is bringing your daughter a bill, I'm going to be one of the few that's going to be bringing her a check. Visualize that for a second. What impact does that make on you when you hear those words? You as a person, you're a father, you're a son, you're a daughter, you're a husband, you are a spouse, you're somebody that someday is going to be facing this situation. Who are you going to want to see when your loved one passes away? Is it going to be exciting to go see the morgue? Is it going to be exciting to go see the funeral home? Is it going to be exciting to go see the funeral director? It's going to be exciting to see all the people who are bringing, well, this is going to cost you this, Miss Betty. This is going to cost you this, Mr. Billy. This is going to cost you this. How about the one person who comes back to see the daughter or the son and sits down with them and says, you know what, let me make that phone call for you to Royal Neighbors of America or Mutual of Omaha. And let me get this process started for you. You focus on your family, your guests, and taking care of them. Let me help you through this process. And I'll call them up. Mutual of Omaha, ring, ring, ring. Hello, unfortunately, we got someone who's passed away in our family here, and it's a client of Mutual of Omaha. I'm the agent on the case. My agent number is blah, blah, blah. And Mr. Billy, blah, 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 he's just passed away. And we start the claim process. I'm here right now with Miss Betty, his lovely wife, and also his wonderful children. They're sitting here as well. And let's see what we can do to help ease this process and make it as burdenless as possible. Oh, you can handle this claim over the phone, Mutual of Omaha? Well, that's fantastic. You don't even need to see a death certificate. That's wonderful. You don't even need a physical claim form. Well, that's really amazing. You folks really are in the business of making a difference in people's lives and trying to make that claim process much easier. That's really awesome. I tell you, I love doing business with Mutual of Omaha. This is one of the reasons why. I'm saying this out loud to the people on the phone with Mutual of Omaha. I'm also saying out loud so the people there in the room can hear it. I do. Because guess what? There's going to be other people in that room who are going to need and want life insurance. And they're all going to want to do business with somebody who makes it easy and less painful at the claim process. This is what you are selling. You're not selling premium. You're not selling multiple products and carriers. You're not selling all this other stuff out there. You're not. You're selling what this is going to do for these folks at claim time. So why aren't we talking about that during the sales process? You want to make yourself different than every other Tom, Dick, and Harry peddling insurance down the street. You want to? You'll make yourself different and unique in that process. Talk about the things they're not talking about. I'm going to guarantee something that's going to make a difference. You're going to close more sales by learning to do that. You will. Because you know, let me tell you what other agents are doing. They're doing the wham, bam, thinking man process. They're rushing in as fast as possible, showing Miss Betty the lead card she sent in, taking a look at a few medications, working up a few rates, writing down the rates in the back of some notebook or form or some sort of napkin and saying, Miss Betty, which one of those best suits your needs? That one, let me see if I can get you qualified. Okay, thanks, great. All right, see you later, bye. And half of them don't even leave a business card, and the other half leave no brochures, and they don't even know how to get a hold of the person when they need to. How do I know that? I've been doing this for a long time. I see it. They're not in the business of building relationships or making a difference in people's lives. You are. You are. That's how you keep your business on the books. That's how you get referrals. That's how you make this job a whole lot easier through the process. Because you are selling the things that they aren't talking about. So why does Gary look at rapport building, which is the first section in this whole thing? Why does he look at it as a connection? Because to me, rapport building is something that you do to someone. Connection is something you do for and with someone. So it's a different mentality. So when I was coming into the sales process years ago, I'm saying to myself, all I'm doing out here is just looking at insurance as a negative thing. I'm not here trying to make money. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get a paycheck. And if they buy the insurance, fine. If they don't, that's fine too as well. I did a paradigm shift. I looked myself in the mirror. Who are you? What are you doing? What's this all about? Do you have one foot in this business and then one out? Can they sense that? Do they feel it? Through your body language, demeanor, subliminal messages? This is where the psychology of the sale comes from. This is why, not bragging, knock on wood, I close at a high level. I always have. For many years now, 25 years in the industry, I've closed at a high level, probably higher than anybody in the company. Because I look at it differently when I go into a home. And so I'm not in that business of the way I'm thinking now. I'm in there to build that relationship. I'm going to take as much time with Miss Betty as I need to. Because and people say, how long was your warm up? I don't know. As long as it takes. How long is your report? I don't know. As long as it takes. Because I don't do either one. I do a connection. So I'm looking for it to be as long as it needs to be to build that relationship. So as we look at the first stage and step, and those of you that are new with me, we got a 5-step process here at Retirement Income Life, which is phenomenal. And it's all in the training section. You can go back and look at it and listen to it, and it's great. Even though mine says a 10, all I've done, wrong sheet. All I've done is taken and broken mine down into bite-sized pieces. And it's still the same 5. I've just extrapolated that to be a little bit more, but it's all still within the same frame. So when I look at step 1 of connectivity, you know what, that's extremely important, because I'm not going to rush that. That's where the sale was made. The reason why people rush that is because they're in the business to make money. I'm in the business to make relationships. Let me say that again. Most salespeople in the business just to make money. I'm in the business to make relationships. The money follows. No wonder Zig Ziglar made this amazing statement years ago, way before some of you are any born. He says, if you help enough other people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. For the longest time, I couldn't understand that. I'm like, Zig, what are you talking about? If I help them get what they want, they will help me get what I want. They don't know what I want. Yes, they do. And they will give it to me. They will take their hard-earned money and hand it right over to say, Gary, here's my money for you being not just good, not just average, but amazing. And I'm going to stay with you forever. Well, they don't say that, but they do say that. And their mindset, their language, how they treat me, the smiles, the hugs, the food, the cries, the tears, and the way they refer me to other people, the way they buy and they keep it. That's how you know. Could we skip these 5 steps that we have, or the 10 steps, and just really go, yes, I can actually type up a note, put it in my dog's mouth, go up and ring the doorbell and say, here, for some final expense life insurance, here's 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Based on that, which one would you want? Circle it, put it back in the dog's mouth, and send the dog back out the door. I'd probably close 20%. You can't make a living on the 20%. And I'm looking at the 60 to 70% above that. The way you do that, keep on the books, is to do a process that makes it so. So there are 5 reasons people don't buy. I need you to hit the chat line and tell me, from those of you who've been studying and students of mine for a bit, what are the 5 reasons people don't buy? You got to understand the reverse of it, the backside of it. That way you work yourself through it. 5 reasons people don't buy. Okay, good. Trust is huge. Excellent. What else we got? No need. Excellent. So true. Don't like you, and we'll throw like you into the trust section, but you're right. They kind of go hand in hand, but correct. So we'll throw that one to the trust, but yes, no need, no trust, and like goes with trust. All right. No money. Excellent. No value. No value is excellent. Good. And we're missing one more. Oh, Joe got it. Excellent. No urgency. That's it. That's it. 5 reasons people don't buy. No need, no money, no trust, no urgency, no value. Look at that. Zig Ziglar taught me that when you walk in the door of someone, you're a great big dollar sign in their eyes, and you're very little value to them. That's why they clam up. That's why they fold their arms. That's why their body language is negative. That's why their eyebrows are furrowed down. That's why their glasses on the tip of their nose. That's why they're looking at you like, man, they can't wait for you to leave. In a lot of cases, because your value is really small to them. And your money in their eyes is really huge. Great big dollar sign. Zig says you got to learn to flip that before the end of the presentation. You got to make the value sign so large that when they look at the money, they go, what? That's it? That's because your value is so great. Well, look at you. Look at you when you buy stuff. Take your own check of your own situation. And when you buy something the next time, even really, if it wasn't maybe that great a deal, maybe if you didn't even need it, but you foresaw and something crossed in your brain that that value was worth it. And you took your hard-earned money and you exchanged that product that you thought was so valuable for the money, that it was more valuable than the money that was going to cost to get it. You do it all the time. So do I. So do I. So somewhere along the line, there's got to be a flip in the mind. And this is where the psychology comes in. And if that flip doesn't take place, you can say, Miss Betty, this plan is only $19.95 a month. And Miss Betty will go, I'm not feeling it. That's not for me. I can't afford it. Why? Because the value wasn't any good. Don't matter how much the cost is. If the value sucks, price doesn't matter. Write that one down. If the value sucks, doesn't matter what the price is. But if the value is high, you will justify the price every stinking time. You will. Watch yourself when you go buy something the next time. I hope my words come through your head as you're getting ready to buy your next thing, whatever it is. And it's going to be like, do I really need this? But boy, you're salivating. I don't know what it's going to be. That next car, that next piece of furniture, that next house, that next whatever it is. And you start to say, I don't really need that, but boy, I would sure love to have it. Then all of a sudden you start selling yourself and you see the value much outweighing the whatever the cost might be. That's how people think. That's how they buy. Have you written down yet that everybody loves to buy, but nobody likes to be sold? If that's the case, then how do you create a buying atmosphere on every situation? How do you do it? How do you create a buying atmosphere? I share with you some of my stories. I try to share them as much as I can. I walked in this hoarder's house recently, and we've all been there in the final expense world. And the place is just sky high to the ceiling almost. The son is walking around just shaking his head. I walk in that house and the man immediately says, I can save you a lot of time, sonny boy. I ain't buying no insurance today. I'm not buying nothing. I got my policy now for 7-8 years, and it's good, and it's great, and it's wonderful, and I'm not buying nothing. And I'm saying to myself, I like that, Rick. There's always a path through. You're right. When I'm selling insurance, there is always a path through. But boy, it was cascading, though, I'm telling you. And I'm saying to myself, okay, immediate resistance. He's had salespeople here before. He's sick of it. I'm no value to him at all whatsoever. Zero value. All he sees in his eyes is dollar signs in my eyes. And he's saying to himself, dude, I'm going to blow this guy away before he even starts. Well, most people probably would, but for me, I'm just going to nonchalant and say, no worries, Mr. Billy. My job is just to pass on some information to you about the new 2023 benefits. Boy, that gets me so far in life. And whatever you do with it, that's fine with me. If you want to throw it in the garbage, you can do that as well. See, you just kind of take that pressure off. You just kind of release it is what you do. It took me a long time to figure that out because I thought I was there to present my presentation, to present what I was there to present, and come heck or high water, I'm going to present it, whether they like it or not. Well, okay, you better calm down a little bit because you're not going to go very far. And so I learned to kind of back down just a tad. No worries, Mr. Billy. My job is just get this information to you. If you can use it, you can use it. If you don't have to. You can throw it in the garbage as far as I'm concerned. I just got to get that mean old boss off my back. His name is Rob Appel, and his twin brother, Rob Boyd. They're about to drive me nuts. And, what you can do with it whatever you want to. Fine, but, there's not much room to sit around here. So you figure it out and, make this thing in a hurry. And I got things to do around here. He ain't doing nothing. He got the Western channel on. And he's trying to watch TV through that mound of stuff he's got in the living room. So I'm sitting there going to myself, I'm thinking all of a sudden, he made the mistake. He made a mistake. See, it's like a chess game. It's chess. This is not checkers. This is chess. He said, I had a policy for 7 or 8 years now. Mm-hmm. He made that mistake, the cardinal rule and mistake. Don't tell me how many years you've had your policy. Don't tell me that, because you're gonna be able to get something new. You just are. Well, I said, Mr. Billy, listen, you're probably right. And I just agree with him again. There's probably nothing I can do for you. Did it again. I'm really disarming this guy so much, which is awesome. For his benefit, really. It's not for mine, it's for him. I'm trying to help him. I says, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but since the pandemic has happened, they've kind of come down on insurance rates. We're trying to encourage people to get life insurance because so many people are dying without it or not enough. It was a major burden upon the families. Now, some people think the state's going to cover them, but they don't. They don't do that. So with that in mind, you got a policy sitting around about 8 years. You got a certain amount of cash value built in that thing. Did you realize if you don't use that cash value while you're alive, you're going to lose it? Remember, the fear of loss is greater than the fear of gain. Write that one down. You're just like that too. We all operate like that. We'll fight you if we're about to lose something. We'll get up off this table right now and we'll come at you full force if you're about to take something away from me. So, Mr. Billy, if you don't use that cash value while you're living, you're going to lose it. You see, your son doesn't get the cash value. He just gets the face amount. The cash value is for the living. Shucks, you probably got $1,500 or $2,000 in that thing. I'm not sure. I can look at it for you and tell. But let me ask you a quick question. There's something out there that you can get your hands on that. Is there something you could do with that? Take a trip, pay a bill, do something with it. All of a sudden, his eyes got big as saucers. And I knew that I hit a nerve. He says, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Are you telling me that if I don't use that while I'm alive, you're gonna lose it. And that I could get that out now, And because of that, since the rates have sort of stabilized or come down, you can probably get your brand new policy for close to probably a little bit more than what you're doing right now, if your health is still good. He says, really? He says, how much is it? I said, go grab your policy. I'll tell you how much you got in there. Now, he went digging through this mound of stuff, and his son was laughing like crazy. He said, he knows where it is, but it'll take him a minute to find it. I said, all right, I'll be patient. Sure enough, got an old policy. It's got $2,100 in cash value. I said, you got $2,100 in cash value? Are you serious? He said, I just got a $2,200 property tax bill. I wasn't sure how I was going to pay it. Ding, 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 ding. The bell went off. The lights went off. Everybody got excited. For the man who says you're wasting your time, sonny boy. I don't need that. Don't want that. Can't use that. So it's about building relationships, right? Not about the money. How can you help people? How can you make a difference in their lives? You're going to spend some time with them. You're going to let them blow you away at the door. You're going to learn to disarm them. You're going to learn to relax a little bit. Just let yourself be and not get in someone's face and get argumentative and get ugly and say something that you're going to regret. No, that's not what we do. So part of that, understanding the 5 reasons people don't buy, is understand that demeanor, that psychology for just a second. Everybody wants what you and I have if we just have the courage to get it to them. And that's where the courage is going to come into play here. So for the 5 reasons people don't buy, we've already talked about these for weeks now, and we're going to kind of hit down at the bottom, but some of them are kind of doing a little rehash to kind of bring it up to speed to where we are. I think connectivity is what helps you close it. That and credibility, that's really 2 steps in one here. But I break it down to 2, but it's really 1 step, okay? When I hit that connectivity right, I'm building a case. I'm a detective. I'm snuffing out any objections, landmines, roadblocks, challenges, looking for opportunity right here. That's where I'm looking for it. I'm not closing down here. No. Not down here at the bottom. That's not where you close. You close right here. This is the close up here. This is where you find out. That's just waltzing into a sale, being very assumptive and getting to the application with no problem because you did the closing up here. That's what's happening. Connectivity. Use the form. FORM, family, occupation, recreation, money. Listen like a detective. Figure it out. And then I give Miss Betty my credentials. You know, the plaque on the wall when they walk into the doctor's office, banker, accountant, those people, they already got the plaque on the wall. We build trust and credibility right here. That's where you build it. Not company credibility, not product credibility, personal. Why do I say that? You've heard it. People don't buy a product, they're buying you. Well, if that's the case, I got to give Miss Betty some reason to buy me. Miss Betty, let me tell you why I do what I do for a living. And I look her right between the eyes. There's no paper shuffling. There's no pens thumping on the table. My legs aren't swinging and tapping on the floor. There's nothing going on. This is eyeball to eyeball, face to face, belly to belly, toe to toe, man to woman, woman to man, human to human, heart to heart, right here. I want to give her a reason not only to do business with me, but to keep it. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody can sell final expense life insurance. I'm serious. I took my 21-year-old son. He made $75,000 his first year, and he didn't even know what he was doing. So anybody can sell final expense. That's not what we're doing. I'm talking about keeping it on the books and getting them to refer you. That's a whole different ballgame, totally different ballgame than what they teach you typically. And you hear people do these companies that rattle off these numbers every day on a weekly or daily phone call. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Half that stuff doesn't stay on the books. It doesn't. It's not what you sell that matters. It's what you keep that matters. And the way you do that is by selling it right to start with. Don't worry about the 2 or 3 appointments you got in the bush. Worry about the ones you got right now and take care of Miss Betty and Mr. Billy right now. So you do that through proper credibility, a good, strong need development. The guy on the call earlier today, he talked about peeling the onion. I've been saying that for many moons. Need development is not taking the superficial answer. So Miss Betty says, yeah, I sent that card in because I need some insurance and I just don't want to be a burden upon my daughter or son. Okay, that's a pretty decent answer. You don't know how to peel the onion? Why is it so important to you? Whole different ballgame. You're taking a layer that was totally superficial, that's kind of got a little bit of meat to it, but not much. I'm talking, let's get deep into the meat of this. So Miss Betty say, you don't be a burden upon it. So why is that so important to you, Miss Betty? Well, I'll tell you why. I buried my brother last year. And that rascal, I told him to get some life insurance, and he was only 52. But he smoked and he drank and he did all these things and he did take care of his body, and we could see his health going downhill, and he died with nothing. And he didn't want to be cremated. He wanted to be buried, but he had no life insurance. I'm his older sister. All this burden fell upon me. I had to try to find a way to go out there and get enough money together just to cremate the guy. I didn't even really want to do that because that's against what our family does. We got burial plots down here at the church already prepaid for. Well, I couldn't afford the $12,000 to bury him. Couldn't. You see what peeling the onion does in the sales process? You see what going a little bit deeper does in the sales process? It just opens up a whole new world. It causes them to get emotional, emphatic about what you're doing. They learn to sell themselves. No wonder the old adage is everybody loves to buy, but nobody likes to be sold. When they say it, they're buying it. When you say it, they're being sold. See the difference? How can you get people to say things without you saying it? That's the essence of high quality closing sales. If I can get you to say it, and it'll be your problem, your issue, not mine, not something where I put words in your mouth. How do I do that? Well, when you get off the phone tonight, instead of turning on the news that's depressing. How about Google? The Socratic method of selling. Boy, it's powerful. I mean, it's strong. When I finally figured that out, it took me a while, and I'm the fastest one, the slow group. It took me a while to figure it out. But when I learned that questioning is the key. Questioning is the key to sales. Not, even though you know the answer, ask the question. Get Miss Betty or Mr. Billy to answer it themselves. Why is that so important to you, Miss Betty? Blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna make sure my daughter doesn't go through that because I had to go through that. I hate that, and she's not gonna do it. Well, Miss Betty, a lot of times the kids will insist on they'll take care of their parents. What happens if your daughter says it? Are you kidding me? No, she can barely handle her own kids, and she don't have the money to do that. You hear Miss Betty selling herself on that whole process? That's called peeling the onion in the need development section. So if I understand you correctly, Miss Betty, this is where you repeat it, rephrase it, and you narrow it down. You want to do this because you had to go through this with your brother. You don't want your daughter Mary having to go through that. You saw what it did to you. You want to make sure it doesn't happen to her, and blah, blah, blah. Am I understanding right? Yeah. Is there anything else? No. I can see why you sent that card in, Miss Betty. I really can. I can see why you took the time to fill that out and send it in. Well, Miss Betty, my job is to help make sure that you get your needs met and get your wishes taken care of. And then that's when I'm going to go into the first one and see if I can get you qualified, blah, 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 go to the health assessment. After I do health assessment, you don't have to do this, but I do. I like doing this. Miss Betty, let me see if I can get you some discounts. That's a buzzword. It's an impact word. And even though I know a lot of these answers, I'm also snuffing out objections, potential landmines. The first discount is, do you use any tobacco? No. That's a big discount, Miss Betty. Do you drink much alcohol? No, I don't. You only use the rubbing kind, don't you? Yeah. The green stuff? Oh, yeah. That's the best, isn't it? Especially for some minor arthritis. Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it. See, what I'm doing is keeping this thing flowing, but at the same time, I'm snuffing out objections. So watch this. So, Miss Betty, give me exercise. Oh, you do? Miss Betty, that can help you get some big discounts, but you get preferred instead of standard. Nice job. Miss Betty, a lot of the banks and credit unions give us discounts on these programs. State Employees Credit Union, BB&T, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, SunTrust. Who do you use for your stuff, Miss Betty? Oh, you use State Employees Credit Union. Oh, man, wow, we love them. They do a lot of business with us, Miss Betty. You can get a big discount with them. This is huge, ladies, and let you know the stuff right now. The way to close at a high level is you snuff out all the objections before you get down to the end. And you have no objections. You say, why do you do this, Gary? That makes no sense to me. Well, okay. How about if Miss Betty goes, well, I don't have a bank account. Oh, so Miss Betty, you get your Social Security on your Direct Express card. Yeah. I need to know this right now. I don't want to know that at the end after I already calculated the rates from Mutual of Omaha. The Mutual of Omaha doesn't take Direct Express. Neither does American Amicable. Neither does Baltimore Life. So if you don't know that ahead of time, well, where are you going to know it? After you already figured out the rates and you show Miss Betty an option, and then you say to her, oh, you choose that option? Great. We set this up where you do this month with your bank account, Miss Betty. What day of the month? Oh, I don't have a bank account. Oh my gosh, you just shot yourself in the foot. You don't know that ahead of time. Like step 4. Now, how about if she says, if you're in North Carolina, this is big, I'm not sure about your state, but if she says, I get mine on my state employees credit union account, I go, is that checking or savings? She goes, savings. Well, in North Carolina, they do not let you draft a savings account. They do not do that. How does Gary know this stuff? Because he's made enough mistakes and he's figured it out. And I'm going to uncover that landmine right now. If she goes, state employees credit union, oh, is that a checking or a savings, Miss Betty? That's a savings account. Oh my gosh, I'm whistling Dixie now. Now what do? You got to think on your feet. So I know how to handle that so I can get around that. So if she goes checking, then I'm good to go. Maybe your state doesn't have that with your state credit union, but here in North Carolina, that's a big deal. Okay, then I move on from there. Urgency is step 5 is what I call it. 3, 4, and 5 really go together under retirement income life presentation. So, but I just kind of break these out kind of separately, but the kind of you see the bite-sized pieces of it, but it's all really one step. I just make it where you can kind of munch on it and chew on it a little bit easier. Okay. Urgency. Everybody in this world just about is middle of the road thinkers. People don't want it too hot. They don't want it too cold. They want it nice and snuggly and comfortable and warm, right in the middle. And your clients are the same way. They don't want to make a decision if they don't have to. So either you better get them hot or cold, or they're going to remain right in the middle. I'm fine. I don't really need this. Let me think about it. Leave your card and I'll get back with you. You've got to find to create some sort of sense of urgency. You've got to find a way to do it. If you don't, you're going to be a big, big surprise at the end. So if that's the case, what are you going to do to create a sense of urgency? We're going to get people to move. I mean, don't you like to say, let me think about this, I'll get back with you. Doesn't everybody like to do that? What's going to cause you to quit saying that or not say that? What's going to cause you to take action right now today? Well, number one, you got to buy the salesperson. You got to buy them, buy their trust, buy their credibility. You got to have a need, but you also got to have a reason to do it right now. So I tell stories of people who waited too long. I sure do. I drop a couple of stories right here of people who waited too long. And their window of opportunity closed. Sure did. And then what happens when your window of opportunity closes? You can't get it. So Miss Betty, somebody went to bed last night and didn't wake up this morning. Plant some seeds. Plant some seeds of urgency. Miss Betty, somebody went to bed last night. One of my clients did, and it's a true story. Woke up with stage 4 pancreatic cancer out of the blue. Bombshell. True story. 61-year-old friend of mine. I was like, no way. Yep, he said, I was starting to feel some weird pains and stuff around my stomach and stuff. And I don't know, I just couldn't keep food down or wasn't that hungry. And went to the doctor and he said, dude, you got stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I says, no, you don't, Spencer. He said, yes, I do. He says, I got 3 months to live. I thought I was going to fall on the floor. I truly did. We grew up together. And so I have stories of people who waited too long. Now, the dude's got 4 kids. Now they're grown, but he also has 10 grandkids. And his goal was to leave something behind for all of them. He didn't have enough life insurance. Oh, we got enough to put him away. Okay. He's got enough to help his wife for a little bit, but not near enough to pay off the mortgage and to help his family like he wanted to. Too late. He couldn't add on more life insurance at that stage. Sad. Create your sense of urgency. What is it? What is your urgency that you're going to help Miss Betty and Mr. Billy feel like? I got a call recently too. I tell this story sometime. My card was found in the drawer of one of my clients' homes. And she wanted to think about it. Said, I'll get back with you, never did. And I followed up a time or two, and she never did. And the kids were calling me and said, I wonder if my mom, we found your card, wonder if she had a policy with you. I said, let me check my records. Do a little checking, call them back. So unfortunately not. We talked about it, but she never got around to it. And we never finalized anything. I said, oh, we're so sorry, because she doesn't have any life insurance. So these things happen. You got to be able to create a sense of urgency. Got to make it happen right now. Karen, you said it right. The longer they wait, the harder it is to qualify. You're absolutely right. Oh boy, lost an 8-year-old niece to rare brain tumor. Oh gosh, that's so sad. Cancer is very non-discriminatory. You're so right on that. And it can happen anytime, any age, any place, any person. You got to be able to have those example stories and be able to create a sense of urgency. So true, so right. And in today's life and world, once it gets on your record, boy, it's going to be there for a while. Here's something I do. Most people don't. You don't have to. Once I've gone through my major steps, I do a little temperature check. I'm looking for one last thing that I might have left out that I didn't uncover from Miss Betty. So Miss Betty, listen, let me ask you a quick question. If I can find you a real good company, that offered affordable rates for this kind of stuff in order to protect your daughter, Mary, so it's not a burden upon her down the road. If I can find you a good company with affordable rates, would it make more sense to be insured rather than uninsured? Oh, yeah, makes totally sense. If you can find me a good company, something I can afford, it makes sense to be insured. 99% of them say that, but they don't. I'm looking for any objection right here to snuff it out before I get down to the end. It's my last question that I'm looking for something. Well, no worries, Miss Betty. You're in luck today because of the medications you're taking and your current health situation and your current age. I'm going to recommend probably the best company in America for your situation. You've got to get excited now because you're coming across as the doctor, the lawyer, the banker, the accountant. You've assessed their problems. Now you got the solution. You're going to come in waving the flag and you're the hero. So give me something to get excited about. Ms. Betty, as I said before, I represent, tons of companies. I'm independent broker of the state. But based upon your situation, there's not a better company in America for you than Mutual of Omaha. I'll stand by that. And you've heard of them, right? Right. They've been around for over 100 years. You and I grew up watching The Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins, did? Yes, right. And they were sponsored by whom? Yeah, Mutual of Omaha. You won't find it better. And here's why. You give me some reasons, some bullet points as to why you're selecting Mutual of Omaha for that client. You get her pumped. Because what you got to do is you've got to eliminate all other carriers. Because in their mind, they're thinking, well, shoot, I got another card in the mail last week from somebody else. I need to shop around and look at that. Or I just saw that commercial on TV from Colonial Penn and also from Globe Life. I got to check that out. Well, I just got this thing in the mail from Mutual of Omaha, which is a guaranteed issue product and AAA in the mail. I got to check that out. You've got to be able to take all that nonsense and narrow it down to the one best company in America. And you got to believe that. You got to know that. And you've got to be able to share that where it comes across so they believe it. Have you ever heard the expression that sales is nothing more than a transference of feelings? Write that one down. Sales is nothing more than a transference of feelings. Somebody put that into the chat line for me. Sales is nothing more than a transference of feelings. So listen to this. Let's go to the negative side, the reverse side. If people aren't buying when you present, that's because if sales is a transference of feelings, the feelings you gave were unimportant, not necessary to move on today, that you were not believable, untrustworthy, they didn't need it, there was really no need to make it happen fast. Those were the things that you were giving off unintentionally, and you didn't realize it. And when somebody told me that, at first I kind of took a little bit of offense to that. So you're saying what now? If people aren't buying, it's because I transferred the feeling of that it wasn't important, they didn't need it, didn't want it, didn't trust me. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, that's the feeling you transferred over. Get out of town. No, you did. You just got to figure out which one it is or which ones they are and correct it. It'll help your sales. Sales is nothing more than a transference of feelings. So think about this now, the positive side. If I can get you to feel about my product the way that I feel about it, you'll buy it every time. Isn't that so true? That's why I got to use some excitement, not being overboard, some enthusiasm, not being, crazy. So I got to get a little pumped up about what I'm going to recommend. I got to transfer that feeling. Miss Betty, I can save you a lot of headache, heartache, and time. You don't even have to look around anymore. You don't have to shop around, call TV commercials, respond to anything in the mail, or answer any more doors from blue suede shoe salespeople. Tell her that. Let me tell you why. Because based upon your health, your medications, and your lifestyle, there's going to be no better company in America for you than Baltimore Life Insurance Company, 150 plus year old company, A-rated company, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hit my bullet points. I'm going to knock out all the competition right here. Nobody pays claims better, faster, and no one's going to help cut that check and write that check to your daughter, Mary, than they will. Get that ready. And you can find a lot of that stuff about these carriers, and we'll go to that in a minute in the Google Drive. All right, so I'm going to spend my time on that, and you learn to romance your carriers. Ms. Betty, you qualify for Rural Neighbors of America. Been around since 1895. They're owned by women, started by women, founded by women, and run by women. And Miss Betty gets excited. Are you serious? Yes. Probably the best company in America for women for whole life insurance. Get people pumped about what you're doing and knock out the competition. Nobody stands beside women better than Rural Neighbors of America. They started a business when it wasn't even popular for women to start a business. People probably laughed at them. And they started that business for women and children years ago. Get excited about them, okay? Get excited about your carriers. All right, then while Miss Betty, here's a brochure on them. While you're taking a look at that, let me calculate some great rates for you based upon your health and your age right now. And that's when you plot your closing worksheet. Your closing worksheet. I don't do it on the back of a napkin. I don't do it on some other form or paper that's just flying around. I want it to look a little professional, a little bit important without being overbearing. I want it to mean something. When I show my rates, I want Miss Baby to look at that and go, great, this is awesome. And so, I mean, I have a worksheet. There's worksheets in the back office as well, or in the Google Drive that you can pull up. Different 3-option worksheets. I've used this one for 15 years, and you know what? I've just stuck by it for 15 years. I'm just comfortable with it. But all of them are very similar. But here's where you learn to do the crescendo effect. This is where you learn to build value. Remember before, you got to find somebody to build value in the process. The worst thing salespeople do is when they finally get down to a point where the client goes, yeah, this makes sense, and they talk about a company or a product, they go, well, off the top of their head, without even being on a piece of paper or anything, it's going to run you about, let's see here, $49.99 for 10,000. It's going to be, let's see, you're 67 for 50, and they're doing this up in the air with showing nothing, and people cannot digest it. They just will not. It'll be totally confusing for them. So that's mistake number one. They verbally tell the premium without showing it. You want to get involved as many senses as possible. The eyes, the ears, the touch of the paper. You'll get involved as many as you can. Okay? So that's why I got a value worksheet. And that's what I'm writing it down on. So while Miss Betty's looking at the brochure, it's taking the pressure off of me. Well, I can take a couple minutes and just figure this out. Miss Betty, please be patient. I'll be with you in just a couple of minutes. We'll take a minute and figure this out. Here's a brochure for you to look at, or some third-party article about why you need burial insurance. I mean, there's tons of them you can get online. But I get this sheet filled out. I'm going to fold it. This is what I do. You do what you want, but you can't see it on this thing. I fold it on the bottom, right below where it says Agent Service for Life. I put a crease right in there, and I fold that under. Not hiding anything, not apologizing anything. I'm just controlling the sales process. I'm going to show Miss Betty that when I get ready to, and not until. Miss Betty, I got these numbers figured for you. I think you'll be really impressed with what I got. You see how my voice is up? I'm not apologizing. Some agents come, well, shucks. This is not as good as what I thought it was going to be, Miss Betty, but well, here we go. See that? You see that attitude, that mindset? No, I'm not apologizing for anything. I don't care how much the premium is. I'm going to be pumped. If I'm showing 100, 150, 200 bucks a month, I'm going to be pumped about it. I don't care if they're 80, 85, or if they're 65. I'm excited about what I got to offer. Why? Where else could you go with one premium payment and instantly open up a bank account for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and you just paid me $89? That was it. And you got your hands on 10,000, 15, 20,000. That's a pretty good trade-off. So, not apologizing. I got my numbers folded under there. It's a process. Ms. Betty, got any questions on the brochure you just looked at? She may have a question, so I'm going to ask her that right now. I'm looking to remember to uncover all landmines before I get down to the bottom. Nothing? Pretty impressive company, isn't it? Yeah, they're one of the best. Ms. Betty, I think you might be really impressed. I said before this, I got that sheet turned upside down. I'm reading it upside down. I think you ought to get used to doing that. I use this as a worksheet. I'm circling, I'm underlining. Remember, I'm getting emotions involved, but I'm getting the senses involved. So this is part of the psychology of the sale. They're not just hearing me, they're seeing me, they're touching the paper, they're watching me underline, circle. There's a feeling going on here. And I call this the crescendo effect of a sales process. Anytime before you show a number in sales, I don't care if you're selling cars, I don't care if you're selling houses, I don't care if you're selling whatever you're selling, there's got to be some value right before it. Okay? So the last thing in their mind is there's so much value, they're thinking in their brain, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford this. I sure hope and pray I can handle this because, man, this is a lot, and this is really amazing. You're selling an intangible product. You've got to give me something of value and get my arms around that I can taste and feel and smell and touch and see. I've got to have something. You're not driving around with a big shiny new car that you're pulling up right in front of me saying, hop in this thing and watch how fast this thing goes. Nope, you don't have any of that. All you have is you and a piece of paper right here. Are you going to bring it to life or not? That's going to be up to you. Now, Miss Betty, this is whole life, and I'm circling whole life. It's guaranteed benefits. It's the only life insurance policy that can say guaranteed benefits. Term can, ULs can, none of the other ones can. This one is. As a matter of fact, it's permanent. I'm underlining permanent coverage. It's regulated by the state of North Carolina. I'm circling state. As I mentioned before, I'm licensed by the state, as you can see right here. These programs are approved by the state. I'm using the state a little bit here to give me a little extra as far as credibility. Miss Betty, the good news is you don't have to get a physical, no blood work, or no medical exam. I'm circling for approval. Matter of fact, I can have your approval before I leave here today. I think another thing you'll appreciate, Miss Betty, these whole life policies build cash value. I'm underlining cash. If you need to borrow it down the road, you can. Miss Betty, you cannot be canceled. Underlining, circling cannot. No matter how old you get or whatever happens, you can't be canceled as long as you pay the premiums. Miss Betty, these premiums here will never increase. Unlike those plans from AARP and Globe Life and a AAA and a lot of those term policies, these plans stay level forever. Now, Miss Betty, the coverage never reduced no matter how old you get or unhealthy you get. I circle and underline never, never. I'm making it interactive. Miss Betty, I think you'll appreciate this. The money in this policy goes directly to your daughter, Mary. So even though it says beneficiary there, I make it personal. A circle beneficiary, you can write the name Mary or the daughter's name right beside of it. Miss Betty, it pays your daughter, Mary, regardless of any other plan you already have in place. It also pays Mary immediately to Miss Betty with no waiting period. Unlike the Colonial Penn plan on TV, this one does not have a waiting period. It starts day one. It's one of the few things, Miss Betty, that you can give your daughter, Mary, income tax free. Everything else you own is going to be taxed to death when you try to pass it on to Mary. your house, anything in your belongings, any monies in your bank accounts will be taxed. This won't. Miss Betty, I'm going to have a policy out here in place for you. Here, the assumptive sale. Miss Betty, I'm going to have a policy out here in place for you in the next 10 to 14 days. I'm going to come by, here, the assumptive. I'm going to come by and show you that it's covered just like I said it was. Assumptive, assumptive, and Gary's coming back. He's not going to be one of those guys that I'll never see him again. He's coming back. Boy, that's subliminal. That's huge. That gives your client confidence. That gives them the courage to want to move forward, because seniors' greatest fears, they're going to give out their personal information and never see this person again. And they're going to do something awful with their personal information. Miss Betty, I'm going to have a policy out here for you in the next 10 to 14 days. I'm going to come back with you and go through it with you with a fine-tooth comb. How about that? That shows and tells her she trusts you. And last but not least, Miss Betty, I'm going to be your agent for life. You circle the word service. While everybody else is bringing your daughter, Mary, bills, I'll be bringing her a check at that time. Miss Betty, you don't have to call some toll-free number and hit 1 for Spanish or 2 for India. You call me directly because I give you my personal cell phone. How does that sound? Great. Well, Miss Betty, I've done this crescendo effect. Value, get this and that, get this and that. You get all these benefits. You bless your daughter Mary's life. You get whole life insurance. I think you'll be really impressed. I'll slowly unfold the bottom of the page. Look at this, Miss Betty, for $10,000 worth. It's only $49.17. For $15,000, it's only $67.12. And for $20,000, $29.13. Of course, nobody knows our future, Miss Betty. Only the good man above knows what tomorrow brings. And listen to the psychology of that. I've taken that pressure off the numbers and just staring there for a second while she's kind of rolling those around her brain. I've gone back to what Miss Betty loves and is uncomfortable with in the southeastern part of the United States and most southern states in this country. And Miss Betty, nobody knows what the future brings. Only the good man above knows what that's going to be like. But in order to protect your daughter, Mary, I'm bringing it back one more time. This is the reason she's doing it. Protect your daughter, Mary, and not be a burden upon her down the road. Which one of these would best meet your needs or your situation? 10,000, 15, or 20? And that's when you're quiet. And that's when you look down at the paper. And that's when you no longer look Miss Betty in the eyes. And that's when you're no longer fidgeting or fumbling or doing anything. You're just looking down to the paper. And of course, people often say the next one to speak loses, but I don't like to look at it that way. But I'm not going to say a word until Miss Betty gives me an answer. And she may hem and haw for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 seconds, maybe a minute. I don't care. I'm just going to sit there and look at it, look at the paper. I'm not going to release her from that, whatever pressure she might be feeling. I'm not going to do anything to say anything. I'm not going to make the choice for her. I'm just going to wait. Also, the 15, the middle one. You know what, Miss Betty? Then I'm going to let her know that she gave a great decision, and most people do the same thing. That's what most people usually pick, Miss Betty. It's one of our most popular plans that we have out there. And you know what? I highly recommend that for your situation and what you're looking to try to accomplish and do. The nice thing about Mutual of Omaha, that if you ever want to go this direction, as long as your health stays good, they'll let you bump it up. Yeah. Also, if you get yourself in a bind down the road, don't throw the baby out the bathwater. If you need to drop down to the 10, they'll let you do that as well. But today I'll see if I can get you qualified for the 15. The good news is, Miss Betty, we don't need any money today. Mutual of Omaha sets us up with your credit union, and they'll set it up. We're done once a month through the credit union, and you don't have to worry about it the day that you pick. What's usually the best day for you, Miss Betty? On the 3rd when you get your Social Security? That's great. Well, that sounds good, Miss Betty. I just need to see your license, some form of ID, so I can get this set up for you. Your head goes back down. and you're definitely right into your iPad, and you don't look up, you don't look left or right, you don't say another word. Let that person get up and go get their ID. If they start him and hawing around or saying something, I don't really give it much of the time of the day. I just keep my head down and I keep logging in to the website to my carrier, and I don't give them any, I just don't look up. They go, well, I'm not sure if I was really going to do this today. No worries, Miss Betty. I just want to see if I can get you qualified first, and then we can make a decision if we're going to keep this or not. My head is still down. I am not looking up. At this point, I'm using total confidence and total assumption through the process. So whatever she says, well, do I have to give you any money today? No, Miss Betty, we'll set this up. We're done automatically for you next month through your credit, on the 3rd of each month. So if you just want to go grab your ID, that'd be great. And I'm just looking at my iPad, no matter what she says. Well, I probably need to kind of kick this around and chat with my daughter. Oh, no worries, Miss Betty. Let me see if I can get you something in place first before we got anything to kick around. We may not have anything. So if you want to, just go and get that ID so we'll go and get that set up for you. Now, usually 9 out of 10 times, I never get these objections like this because I've done it so right the first time, but I'm just kind of throwing out things just in case you get it. Well, I don't like giving out my bank account information. No worries, Miss Betty. All we're going to do today is see if we can get you qualified. Everything that we do is totally, we keep everything in total confidence here. And once I put it into the system, I never see it again. Just go run and grab your ID and I'll see if I can get you qualified. And you just keep your head down and you just keep being very assumptive. And I never look up to my client at that point because I'm just assuming everybody's going to do it. Now, with that in mind, we ran over, as we typically do. And you're welcome to throw at me any questions, comments, concerns, or challenges that you're faced with at this stage of the game. Although I'm going to tell you, I'm probably one of the weakest objection handlers at the end. I just am. Because if they haven't bought me by then and bought what I'm doing by then, I typically can't close it. I can't. Or either I don't want to. I'm not going to twist someone's arm where they get them to sign the dotted line, and next thing you know, they're calling me back the next day or the carrier the next day and saying they changed their mind. Either you've bought me and what I'm doing, and there's a need for it. Now, that may not be your case, and so I'm not telling you that's the way you handle it. You might be newer at this, and your presentation isn't quite as smooth in the beginning, and so you need to fight for those at the end. You need to call your upline person during the process, and we'll help you close the deal. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm just saying for me. All right, let's talk about questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions, because next week we're going to talk about closing this again, going over it again, as well as doing a strong post-close, getting referrals, and taking this to the next level. All righty, pausing for questions. You can unmute yourself, or I know what I was going to show you. If you needed to go in the back office and look up some things, you certainly can do that. Where are we? This is the Google Drive. And if you go back in there, you can look under, shucks, it seemed like there was something before this. What was this? Must be down here. There we go. Notebook. There we go. If you're under Notebook, that's where you can find these 3 option close PDFs. That's that's showing you an example of how it works. Face value, accidental terminal illness, nursing home, all included. Okay. Oh, shoot, did it again. So just go look in a notebook and find that. And 3 option quote worksheet here. There you go. There's something similar to what I do with that. So putting down the different types of coverage, totals. You got 3 options here, blah, blah, blah. That's one way you can do it as well. Okay, what I was looking for, and maybe Roberto can help me, was the where you talk about the carrier and build up the carrier worksheet.
The carrier worksheet,
Yeah.
It might be under the carrier folder, or it could be under notebook.
Okay, I'm in notebook now.
I'll
That's
check
not
on my end.
okay. All right, so let's see here. But I think those sheets are really awesome to use.
Was
It's under
that,
the, it's under the bullet folder.
That's on the bullet right here, bullet sheets. Good job, Joe. You know your stuff, man.
I might have
Okay,
to put Joe
so
in charge of them.
if you there we go. If you don't use Mutual of Omaha, well, there we go. So if you'll do the crescendo effect, there it is. And that's what you present the value stuff before you show your numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe, that's actually the old one.
This is
So just real quick, Gary, I have each carrier folder has a bullet sheet for that carrier in it, and some of them have it per product also. So in
Okay.
Baltimore Life, for example, the I Provide has its own bullet sheet, as does the A Priority. And it's got the RAL logo in the background of the bullet sheet.
okay,
So
good. Let's
yeah,
show
get out of
you.
the bullet sheet folder, just go to any carrier, Aetna, whoever, doesn't matter. Moo,
All right, let's go to move.
and you'll see bullet.
Living Promise. That's the app. Okay, where do I find bullet?
You might have to go up, I think.
Rob Boyd stole the bullet sheets. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That Rob Boyd.
There
I
it
like
is.
that guy.
There
Did
it
you find
is. Oh, that's got the old one in there still, right?
No, it's
That's-
the new one with the
Oh, there
R.
it is. Oh, there I see the R. Yes, there we go. Sharp.
We're
Looks
big
really
time.
good. Huh?
We're big time.
Yeah, love it. That looks so great. There you go. This way you can get your bullet point sheets right before you close and show the numbers to Miss Betty. Go through these. Builds her crescendo, builds the value, gets them excited. And it keeps you from just throwing numbers down a piece of paper, not showing that without reminding her of all the value she's getting. There we go. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end of this section for the psychology of the sale tonight. For those of you who got questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions, please feel free to share those with me, or you can share them on our team app if you got any questions at all. But until we meet again next Monday, same bat time, same bat station, same bat place. Good luck out there and good selling.
Good night, brother.
Good night.
Thanks, Gary.
Hey, thank you, bro.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Right. God bless.
Good night. Good night. See ya.